Yesterday's plane crash overseas has set off a new war of words here at home between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton.
We had a terrible tragedy, and she came up and she said that Donald Trump talked about radical Islamic terrorism, which she doesn't want to use. She used a different term because she doesn't want to use that term. She refuses to use that term. And I'm saying to myself, what just happened about 12 hours ago? A plane got blown out of the sky. And if anybody thinks it wasn't blown out of the sky, you're 100% wrong, folks, okay?
When you run for President of the United States, the entire world is listening and watching. I know how hard this job is, and I know that we need steadiness as well as strength and smarts in it. And I have concluded he is not qualified to be President of the United States.
Voters don't seem to agree with Hillary, though, because according to our new Fox poll, they trust Trump over her when it comes to dealing with terrorism by a 12% margin. Okay, Eric, you love the numbers. They speak to you.
So Donald Trump yesterday, before anyone knew what was going on, said this is clearly an act of terror. He may or may not have been right, but the point was that he was going to be, again, the anti-Obama. President Obama we pointed it out, he's afraid to call Islamic terror. He's afraid that he dances around the word terror, and for a lot of people, me included, think that makes the country less safe. You have to take it, hit it head on, go right at it, instead of saying, oh, I'm not sure if it's Islamic. I don't want to tick off Muslims because we say Islamic terror when these are clearly groups that are Muslim and terrorists, okay? Call them what they are. So Trump goes further the other way, and everyone goes, oh, my God, can you believe he did that? Hillary Clinton even said, he's causing more terror by saying this within the Muslim community, more problems within the Muslim community, and then she calls it terror in the same interview. So I see what he's doing, I see what she's doing, and I think Trump has carved out an area of anti-Obama that Hillary Clinton is trying to kind of own. I'm the next 4 or 8 years of President Obama. That's going to be tougher. I think people are done with this.
All right, Dana, what do you think about those numbers and them trusting Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton? Is this a reflection of a lot of the messaging that's been going out saying that Hillary Clinton, a vote for her is a vote for a third term of Barack Obama?
I think that's exactly what it is. And so people, after 8 years, it's very hard for any political party to hold on to the White House for a third term. That's only happened once since World War II, and that was when George H.W. Bush won in 1988. It's just difficult because people, they get tired. They want something new. They want a different direction. They always want something more. Look at President Obama. He was hope and change. 43 was restore dignity to the White House. Clinton, when he won, that was really about hope and change too, really, and the economy. So in this case, I think on the two top issues that people care about, the economy and terrorism and national security, I think that they are worried that a third Obama term would mean just more of the same. On the a little bit spat between the two of them yesterday, candidates have a lot more leeway than presidents have in order to comment right away about something before learning all the facts. I mean, one of the things that a president does have to be mindful of is that your actions could trigger something else.
Right.
Trump and Clinton really don't have to worry about that right now, though I think that anybody could try to make the case that it does. But if you imagine that you're a victim, one of the victim's family members, and you're waiting for information from the airline, and you have, imagine it was the President of the United States saying, I know it was terror, that's when you have to exercise a little caution when you're president. I'm not saying that you need to do so now, but that would change that.
Okay, what about the point that Bowling also just brought up, where she's suggesting that he's part of the problem, that he is inciting and creating radical Islamic terrorism? Yeah,
I think that's one of the reasons that people tend to like his policy on fighting terror more than hers, because they're tired of being told that we are the problem, that it's Western civilization or it's Western thought. There is going to be a rift between Trump and Clinton on this issue going forward, because there are Muslims that feel like they've been unfairly targeted by Donald Trump. But I think making that clear distinction about radical Islamic terrorism and peaceful Muslims is really important, and he should try to increase his repertoire on that.
Okay. All right, Greg, so what do you think? Is it surprising to see the numbers and that they would choose Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton as it relates to national security and terrorism?
It is. Like every 8 years, it's a pendulum swing. So everyone now is responding to the kind of demeanor of President Obama. The interesting thing about radical Islam and terror, because we often say the war on terror, but it's about radical Islam. The left sees it as an issue, whereas the right sees it as a problem. So when you see somebody like Hillary Clinton talk about it. She talks about terror the way they talk about the environment or they talk about your diet. It's this kind of broad issue, whereas a conservative or a new conservative like Donald Trump might do it like, this is a problem, we need to do something about it right now. And that is dramatically different from the way the left deal with these things.
But what about also this whole blame America first? That's what it seems like people have responded to, that over the past 8 years, right away it's look inward, who have you offended? Why calling someone these names is in fact generating terrorism throughout the world. It's America's fault first.
It's part of a greater ideology that candidate Obama brought to the White House, which was America should have a smaller footprint on the world. We're not a force for greatness as we think, and that's why we should recede. And that informs every one of their opinions.
Okay, well done.
Thank
Juan,
you.
so what do you think? Is it surprising that someone who was a former Secretary of State and held a position, operating in that arena of national security and foreign policy, would be polling behind a businessman running for president?
Yes, it is surprising. But she wasn't. She was ahead of him, and Eric and I have been over this territory a lot.
Here we go.
You know, that she was ahead of him on handling terrorism, national security issues. This poll has him ahead of her. Where she's still ahead is on having the temperament to deal with an international crisis. So, so what we see in the poll is people say, in the moment, yes, Trump right now for national security and the economy, which I think we should discuss at some point because that's interesting too. But the idea to me that Eric says, oh, President Obama's afraid to call it Islamic terrorism. I don't think so, Eric. I think that
it's not a fear. What is it? He won't say it.
Well, hang on, man. So it's a matter of strategic thinking, of smart.
Strategery.
Because what you have here is a necessity to, one, avoid the whole Islamic world thinking the Western world is at war with them. We don't want that. President Bush didn't want that. President Obama. It's working. Look, I think we have allies and we have support. And let me just add, let me finish the thought here.
So this is let
me finish the thought.
Saying Islamic
Eric, let me finish the thought. That's all I'm saying. Let me finish the thought. Yes, let me tell you something. You sometimes don't think, well, how could this have worked out so we would actually be facing more constant attack? I tell you, I think we are blessed as Americans right now that we have not had major attacks on our country and that our security apparatus has been as successful as it's been. I think that's why people like Bob Gates yesterday were so highly critical. Eric, I'm saying that's a terrible moment. I'm just saying that if you look at the broader pattern.
All over the place.
But that's not a good argument to say we're blessed. I don't want to rely on being blessed. That's like relying on luck. Like, I'm so lucky that this plane landed. No, you want to rely on security and expertise.
And we have hardened our targets, Greg. We have hardened. We are more invested in preventing terror today than we've ever been, and more successful.
Oh, maybe it's because we carry around our little anti-terrorism lucky rabbit's foot.